back now, look. Here we are. It's like an ABBA video.
I made history.
You did! Have I got any words of advice? It's very hard when people say, have you got any words of advice? Because there's no magic bullet, there's no word of advice, there's nothing I can really tell anyone to be a better actor or to be, you know, to get your break. However, what I can tell you is a practical thing, and it sounds a glib thing, but it's genuinely not. This is the thing I would say. Respect people's time as an actor. Don't be late. Because it's so true, you know, because it's, I mean, in life, I also think that is true. Respect people's time, because it kind of starts with that. Because if you're an actor, you're getting quite, are you getting emotional, patriotic? I can't tell.
I'm saying I'm going to remove my hat to show respect.
Okay, it's sinking in. Yeah, it's just a simple thing, but somebody should have told me that when I was a young actor, because it's like, oh, you'll get this audition at 10:30, and you feel like, oh yeah, you know, I got there at 10, yeah, it's like 10:35. It's important to keep time as an actor, because everyone's time matters, and it's just, take that away with you and be on time all the time.
I will.
Will you?
I will.
Yeah, and also, I mean, obviously there's things like, you know, believe in yourself, but if you didn't believe in yourself, you wouldn't want to be an actor, so there's no point in me telling you to believe in yourself. But I can tell you, be on time, learn your lines, do your work. Oh, I didn't need to do oh, drop the spunk word and done that as well.
I'm the character.
But good luck, my friend.
Thank you very much, Catherine.
All right, darling, and to you, sweetheart. Bye.
All right.
All right.
Next, Dave.
I do believe it is the Doctor himself coming on stage. Hello, welcome. Hey, look at you, darling. Thank you. It's been a while.
Actually,
Are you the Doctor, or are you someone else that I've not heard of?
No, I'm the Doctor.
You are the Doctor, that's good.
I'm an aspiring actress and voice actress, and I was excited to hear that you did voiceover. I'm actually starting in a college for theater, and I was wondering if it's best to start with Shakespeare for like how that is like so intelligent and like it's different kind of memorization, and you have to kind of study it. Is it better to just start with Shakespeare or just like stage acting in general?
The question is, should you start with Shakespeare as an aspiring actor or just stage work in general? To be honest, I don't think there's any, you know, I don't think there's any rule you can follow. I don't personally think it's important to study Shakespeare. And I don't mean that in a glib way. I think it's a wonderful thing to study Shakespeare, but there's many, 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 many more actors out there who have never done Shakespeare than have done Shakespeare. But it's a fantastic grounding, and it's a wonderful thing. And as you say, it's the way it's written requires a lot more technique to learn it. But I would say if you are interested in Shakespeare, absolutely go for it. But I don't feel anyone should be under any pressure to learn it or anything.
Did you like doing Shakespeare better, or did you like doing regular acting?
Well, that's the thing. Shakespeare and acting are the same thing. You know what I mean? I think people put into their head, well, it's Shakespearean acting, and then there's regular acting. There's not. It's just acting. You know, because you don't need to act in a certain way to do Shakespeare. Because at the time, he was, you know, he was just the soap writer of his time. You know, he was just a populist writer. And so, but people, I think, forget that. So I like doing both. I like doing both, and I think it's nice to demystify Shakespeare and not put it too much on a pedestal to make it, because I think that alienates people a lot. But you must enjoy whatever you do and try and. It's quite dense, Shakespeare. That's the thing. But it's a lot of fun if you get a good director to walk you through it. But good luck, darling. All right, sweetheart. Nice to meet you too, darling. Thank you.
So my question is actually going to go back to your Catherine Tate show.
Okay.
A lot to do with Lauren, because she's like the greatest in my opinion. What was your inspiration for Lauren? Like, where'd you get the idea to do it that way that you do?
Oh, that was me when I was a kid. In fact, when the show first came out, my old drama teacher got in touch with me and she said, wow, that brings back some memories. And I think it was just also I was aware that at the time, which I think is just part of the culture now. But what happens at home is we kind of get the American influences about 10 to 15 years later. Right. So at the time when I started doing my show, I was just becoming aware that young kids were doing this quite American thing of going up at the end of a sentence so that, you know, everything is a question. You know, even when it's not, you know. And so kids were doing it at the time, so it was like, it would be like, I'm going to dinner now, I'm going to bed now. And it's like, well, that's not a question. But everything was going up at the end of it, and so I wanted to incorporate that kind of thing into it, and that's how it kind of came around. Even though am I bothered is in fact a question, I just sort of thought, oh, these people are walking among us, and are still there, and the thing about the Lauren character is, I had no idea. You have no idea, especially as a comedian, you have no idea, and you're actually not really in control of whether anything's successful, because all you can do is put stuff out there and hope people like it. What I never in a million years thought would happen was that "am I bothered" would become some sort of catchphrase, because I had no idea it was going to, and I certainly didn't write it like that. But it was, people started repeating it, and it became this thing. So much so that the word "bothered" is now an entry as a legitimate word in the Oxford English Dictionary. And it became, I made a word, which was like, that's ridiculous. But the thing is, if you sat down and tried to do that, you probably couldn't do it, because it's just by, you know, by serendipity it happens. You're not really in control of it. And it was the public that made "am I bothered" a catchphrase. It wasn't me, and it was, but it was, yes, it was loosely based on me and my belligerent teenage self. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, darling. No problem. Thank you. Right. Oh, absolutely.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Kim.
Hello.
Hello. So I run a theater program at a community college. So it's a 2-year college. So students study.
Oh, use mine.
And thank you. So they study 2 years with me, and they go to university after that. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your training as an actor, and maybe, I don't know, you've already asked some theater questions, but just generally what your training was like before you started out in the professional role.
Sure. Well, I was a very bad student, and I got. Do you have the word expelled?
Yeah.
Yes, I was sent away. And the thing about it is, my training, although I had a great laugh, this may not be the answer you want, but it's the truth. I'm a terrible example of of someone who's had a modicum of success, because, you know, it's like I can't go into schools and say, hey, listen, work hard, get your exams, keep your head down, because I got expelled from 4 schools. I didn't go to university. I did go to drama college, got expelled from there. Left to become a stand-up comedian. Came away with no exams, and it all worked out. So that's definitely not the answer you were looking for. But what I found useful about my training was it made me realise I wanted to be a comedian. Because I found myself, even though I knew before I went in I wanted to do comedy, at one point one of my teachers said, I think you need to leave, because there's nothing here we can teach you. But I think actually what she meant was, there's nothing here you are willing to be taught. Because I didn't do well in a structured environment. I didn't respond well to authority. And it's the same kind of thing of not having nerves when I go to perform. I don't have a lot of fear. So I didn't have a lot of fear of teachers, which is why my character Lauren came about. You know, I would stand up and say to teachers as a kid, I don't care though. You're going to tell my parents, I don't care. I know you realise, and this is not a lesson to take away with, but you realise, but what you realise is, if they have no power over you, and I realise, you know, I look back now, and I think, my God, it must be the most exasperating thing for a kid to not be scared of you. Because that's all they had, is sort of power over me. I was like, I don't care. I didn't say bothered as a kid, I wasn't that quick, but my training was a little bit haphazard. But what I realised I loved being on stage, because when you go to drama college, they don't teach you film or TV. It's all about the stage, and I loved being on stage. And I realised I felt at home there, and even now to this day, as much as my career really got launched through TV, my home feels like it's in the theatre, because that's what I would always go back to, because I love doing theatre work, and so much so that I've made a theatre version of my TV show that is touring around Australia and New Zealand, and it did go through like England, Great Britain, and it's coming into the West End, and I just love doing all that in front of a live audience, and I think that's what my training taught me, was how much I love an audience, but I didn't respond very well to the actual training part of it.
That's okay. There are many paths to careers.
There are indeed. And there's many people who will do very well wanting to learn. But what I found most is I learnt more from the other students. You learn more from watching other people act and trying out stuff. And I also learnt to try out stuff. You have to also learn a massive lesson when you're starting out. And that is, until you learn to fail, you won't know how to succeed. And as a stand-up comedian as well, someone told me that, yes, give that a round of applause, because you have to fail. You mustn't be scared of failure in anything we do, because you will never ever break the fear of it if you don't learn to fail, and it's okay to fail. Failing means you tried, do you know what I mean? And that's more than a lot of people, you know. And the brilliant advice I got when I was starting out as a stand-up, and that was someone who at the time had much more experience than I had, and that is, they said, and I think this is true in most parts of life, you learn far more from your bad gigs than you do your good ones. And I think that's really true. You learn so much more from your bad experiences than you do your good ones, because, like, as a stand-up comedian, if you go out on stage and you have a great show and everyone's laughing at everything, you come off and you go, right, great, that's good, what's next? You don't think about it. If you come out and you've got a hard gig and no one's laughing and you're getting heckled and your stuff's just not working, you have to, either on the spot or when you go off stage, reevaluate and dissect it and make yourself better. And I think that's the thing, learn from your mistakes, and that's probably what I learned from college. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mistakes are good, people. SuperCon man's going, come on love, answer a sci-fi question.
You're going to get a lot of technique questions today, apparently.
Oh, what? A technique question?
Yes.
No, okay.
You get a lot of theater stuff. So, Catherine Tate show, one of my favorites.
Thank you.
I love how you create such unique character bodies for each of your people in that show. And I was just wondering, do you have a process for that, or is it just like it comes to you?
No process, lady. And the word is process. Do you know what? I wish I could answer your questions with a modicum of, you know, competence. But I'm such a haphazard person, I really am. It's like, honestly, like, I'll get the idea for a character by looking at someone's hair and thinking, oh, I could do something with that. So there really isn't a process. Well, I suppose there's a process in the sense that there's no process. But I don't, no, they just literally sort of come to me. Come to me, which is the name of my new Christmas single. Is there a process? No, there's not. What do? I sort of, well, I steal from people's personalities. That's what I do, I steal from people's personalities, and the trick for them not to recognise themselves is to change their hair. That's all you have to do is change people's hairstyle, because we don't recognise ourselves characteristically, we only recognise ourselves physically. And I can absolutely say that's absolutely true, because one of my characters is based on one of my cousins, but I have changed her hairstyle so she simply has no idea it's her. Even though the voice is absolutely the same as hers. In my show, I have a character well, I don't even think she's got. Yes, I do. She's got a name. They're a couple called Paul and Sam, and they're this married couple who love each other so much that whatever she says, she's quite banal and dull. And whatever she says, she'll say, "You won't believe what's happened today," right? And he goes, "What's happened?" And she says these banal things, right? Based on my cousin.
She knows now.
No, she doesn't. This is the thing, she doesn't. I've got many cousins. They all think it's the other one. The character in the show has long, dark hair. My cousin, who this is based on, has short blonde hair, right? She says to me when the show just comes out, she goes, "You won't believe what's on your show. That character is so funny." I'm like, "It's you!" So people genuinely don't recognise them. And similarly enough, I did this other character, right, on my mum. And it's a character who screams at everything. She's just called Screaming Woman, right? Because my mum, when I was growing up, are you waving at me saying 5 minutes? 2? Forget it! Get everyone up on stage quickly, I'll try and answer your questions in 2 minutes. Quick! So anyway, that was your question. The other one was my mum screams a lot, and then she said, "That's not me, my hair's not like that." I'm like, "Oh, Jesus." Quick, on stage! Hello, darling, quick! Everyone on stage, quick, across the stage, across the stage! Hello, sweetheart, how are you? What's your question, darling?
What is your opinion about Captain Jack?
What is my opinion about Captain Jack? You're too young for me to tell you, darling. But thank you for your question. What's your...
How did it feel when they called you back? Did you always know from the...
Didn't know. It was a surprise.
If you could describe yourself as a flavor of ice cream, what would it be?
Mint choc chip.
Such a large community like Dr. Who?
How what?
How does it feel to be a part of such like a large community like Dr. Who?
Very scary.
What was your first impression of Colin Morgan?
I don't do impressions.
What was your experience on The Office like?
It was awesome. I love Craig Robinson.
Between The Office, Nellie Bertram, and Donna Noble, who do you feel like has your personality more?
Don't know about personality, but I love Nellie's hair more.
What was your favorite Doctor Who alien?
The scary one. What?
You're really busy. What do you do to relax?
I answer questions from strangers.
Sum up my Doctor Who experience in 3 words, what would it be?
Really, really good.
I'd rather have a bigger question.
Jesus.
Is there a character from the Catherine Tate show that you wish was recognized more often that's like your favorite, but...
No, I like my privacy. Can you have a signature after?
How many celebrities you worked with that you like ended up fancy?
I'm not telling you that. Darling, I'm going to sign your thing. This one. I'm going to sign it. Tell him. I'm going to sign it. It's my cheese routine. We haven't got time. It's really funny.
Is Bernard Cribbins actually like a grandpa to you?
Oh, he's so lovely. Is my grandpa on Doctor Who like the grandpa? Quick, come on here.
Which of your characters has taught you the most about yourself?
Oh, I don't know.
What's your favorite episode of The Office?
It was the one where I arrived. Say that again.
I'm her emotional support.
Oh, okay, darling.
What was your favorite episode that you did in Doctor Who, and how many times did you watch it?
Oh, I've never watched it. I never watch anything I'm in, but they're all my favourite.
I have a confession. I was the person who asked John Barrowman's question that he commented about your singing for.
Okay, I'm going to hit you later.
I don't really have a question. It's my birthday, and I just wanted to.
Happy birthday!
Can you tell us anything about what you remember about Mrs. Radcliffe's revolution?
Oh, it was in Germany and I got bitten by mosquitoes and I'm allergic.
I flew in from Kansas, to ask you about Shakespeare. I love your Much Ado About Nothing. What is a role that you would like to do that you haven't done in Shakespeare yet?
I'm so sorry, I'm superstitious. I don't like to talk about things that I'm yet to do. But you understand. Kansas, me and you. And the last one, very quick.
Are you willing to do the SuperCon selfie with us now?
What's that? But yes!